Morning, people. Try to keep this short. Probably won't because I ramble. Anyway, a ways back, a couple years ago, I posed a question on a trucker's report. I was getting static in my radio, and sometimes it would disappear and reappear, and I couldn't figure out why. Somebody gave me a suggestion, I believe, was to... I think the question I posed is, why am I hearing noise more noise when I go over expansion joints of a bridge type of thing? I think that was the question. But anyway, the answer came back is that it's a static buildup in your steer axle, in the oil itself, the wheel bearing oil. So the fix for it was to put about 3.5 ounces of graphite, which is the same graphite kids use to put in their wheel bearings of their skateboards as a lubricant. It's a dry lubricant. And if you put it in your steer axle oil, it'll just add to the lubricity of the steer axle, or the bearings there, so it will not hurt anything, it will not void any warranties, so don't panic if you just bought a new truck. Anyway, the test for that, because I already did a video showing it, was to, when you're driving down the road and there's no traffic around you, take your foot off the pedal and then put your foot on the brake pedal, applying reasonable amount of pressure so that you feel yourself slowing down. Now, with no noise filters at all on your CB radio, your 10 meter, your 11 meter radios, whatever it is that you're using. Turn off your noise blankers, turn off all the squelch, everything, so that whatever noise that's out there that your radio can pick it up. Turn all that off. Okay, once you apply reasonable amount of brake pressure that you can feel yourself slowing down, if that noise disappears, then you know, or if that noise disappears, great. And then when you release the brake pedal, the noise comes back. Then you know that it's the static buildup in the steer axle oil of your wheel bearings. So the fix, like I said, was to put about 3 ounces of graphite in each wheel bearing, either side, both left and right, that is. Drive about 30 miles, and hopefully that noise will go away. So now that you can hear further, and more people's discussions, and talk to your buddies a little bit further away because you got less noise. Now this morning, I was doing exactly that. I was listening to a far off conversation. I had no noise filtering on, so whatever my radio could hear. And I happened to notice that there was some debris in the road, so I kind of yanked the steering wheel to the left to avoid it. And I noticed that the noise disappeared briefly. So once my steering wheel went back to center, the noise came back. So I tried the same thing again, but going to the right. Same problem. Tried it a second time going left and right. Same thing. So for some reason, static is being released. Sorry, this is a boring visually video, but anyway, so yeah, there is a static buildup in the steer axles, at least on these Cascadias. Can't speak for anything else. The physics would be the same for most other trucks, so I don't see why, unless it's better grounded or whatever. But give it a try, see what happens. Another thing that's going to make some good amount of noise in your radio would be anything that's plugged into your cigarette lighter. Cell phone chargers, GPS, dash cams. They can potentially leave noise coming into the radio. That's what your antenna is picking up. Same thing with backup lights. Like, if you look at my mirror, those backup lights there, those are LED. I turn those on, I get more noise into my radio. LED headlights, HID headlights, they can potentially do the same thing. Even the fridge that's built in your truck will probably make a little tiny bit of noise, but not a lot. Inverters, being most people go and just try to get the best deal they can, and they buy the cheap automotive inverter, be it the style that plugs into a cigarette lighter or the ones that you connect direct to the battery. They will make noise when they're turned on. Unless you go out and get a pure sine wave inverter, that'll knock down a lot of noise for sure, because now it's a more perfect, for lack of a better term, setup for power consumption for whatever you use to plug in for a TV or, coffee maker or whatever. So those things will make noise. So make sure you got all of them unplugged, turned off, whatever the case may be first, and then do the noise test that I've mentioned earlier on in this video and in a previous video I did. Anyway, that's a little help for somebody who's got some noise in the radio. Go try it out. See if it's a problem. If it is, graphite, 3.5 ounces. Let it run through for about 30 miles. Test again, see if it is. It should hopefully solve the problem. However, it will not solve the problem of the LED headlights or the LED beacon lights or LED backup lights or HID headlights. It will not solve that problem. So, anyway, that was a little thing I noticed this morning, a little test I did that worked, and sure enough, I'm going to have to go buy some graphite. Have a good day, people.